Story 26, Greg, take 1, marker. Story 26, Danielle, take 4, marker.
I've never had any encounters before. Never really thought about it before. And it's just something that, I always just thought wasn't real. It's, just fake hocus pocus stuff.
I met Greg through MySpace.
She thought that I was cute, so we started talking.
I have 3 children, Grant, Dylan, and Emily. They fell in love with Greg, and so did I. In December of '08, Greg opened his home to us.
It was a kind of a rundown building, but it was cheap rent and it served its purpose. Her and her daughter, Emily, came up on the bus, started unpacking stuff, and she was like, oh, I can rearrange your house now and, make it the way I want to. I didn't have a lot of stuff. I was used to the military life, being in the military, you minimize everything. And with Danielle, it was just, it brightened it up a little bit more. There's more colors, more flowery stuff, and, just a woman's touch, and it made it a lot better.
But this good feeling would not last long.
It was just the little things at first. We'd want to go out to dinner or something like that and be like, okay, time to grab the keys. Walk over, went to grab for them, and they're not there. That's like, okay, who's got the keys? And nobody's got the keys. You search and you search and you search. Keys are nowhere to be found. Almost back into the first location where I first looked for them. There are the keys, and it's like, no way. There's no way those keys could be there. Couldn't explain it.
Spirits will move things if they know that it bothers you and intimidates you. Sometimes they'll play games. They'll take the smaller objects because it takes less energy to move those things. And sometimes they can be sending a message. It's hard to really tell with them because there are a lot of them that are tricksters.
One time, we were sitting down and having cookies and milk.
Emily told me, she goes, Mommy, I have this friend named Michael. He likes to play with me. And I said, well, that's nice, honey. Would you like to share cookies and milk with Michael? She goes, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you just see the glass move like 6 inches.
6 inches to an empty space. This empty space beside Emily.
What do you say when that happens? There's no good reason for something like that to happen, especially when she just got done saying, go ahead, you can share your cookies and milk with them.
It wouldn't take long before the paranormal became more real.
Actually, a couple of days later, I had another experience myself. And all of a sudden, something grabbed the back of my leg.
Greg and Danielle Koch had begun to experience strange phenomena in their home, but were reluctant to believe they could have paranormal origins. The activity was about to get more extreme.
And all of a sudden, something grabbed the back of my leg and yanked me. I've never felt this before. It felt like they were trying to pull me off the bed. My whole world just got rocked. I turned around, looked back, and there was nothing there. And I looked at my leg where I got grabbed at, and I could see the hairs kind of like standing back up off of like if they were like, you know, condensed from where somebody grabbed me. It felt like a grown man trying to jerk me off the bed. I've never had anything so physical happen to me like that before. That's something I'll never forget.
Greg started to rethink their decision to raise children in the house.
Because if it can move me that much, you know, what else can it do? Finally, we were like, okay, you know, something's going on here. We had contacted the landlord, explained to her that we couldn't stay there anymore. And she was pretty understanding. She's like, I could understand, you know, this isn't the first time we've had people move out in the middle of the month, you know, as quickly as you want to move out.
It felt like a relief was off of my shoulders to be moving away from that place.
We made the move to Tidiu. The house was like 3 times as big as the place we were in, so we were loving it. It was a really nice house, 2-floor, big yard, you know, so we were really happy with it. And it was only 2 blocks down from the school where Emily would be going to. We moved in July, beautiful weather. The neighbors were real nice. They came out and helped me move the stuff in. I really did think everything was left behind.
And we started having experiences at the house that we're at now.
Started hearing like walking across the ceiling. And it's like, okay, we know nobody's up there. You know, we'd hear footsteps again, so I'd run up there and there's nobody there. I'd go back downstairs again. You know, you could hear him walking down the stairs. You know, thump, 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 thump. It just sounds like a heavy guy walking back and forth. And I'd run up there again, you know, just to make sure. There's nobody out there. It is a very creepy feeling.
Maybe a house settling, you're hearing a creaking, but maybe a spirit where you're dealing with sounds, it's gonna be more profound. Spirits will violently walk and the whole house would shake. That's when you start to think, okay, that's much more than just a house settling.
We'd come back and, you know, from out to dinner or something like that. And it just seemed like every cupboard in the whole place was wide open. Nothing was really disturbed in the house besides like the cupboard doors. Like there was no cans out of place. There was no, you know, anything missing, like somebody would have ransacked the place. It was just every cupboard was open. Well, I was like, here we go again, you know. I was like, the last place was quiet and now we got something going on here. And then, you know, Danielle was like, you know, I really hope something's not, you know, kind of following me. I knew something was following us then. It just seemed like, you know, from one location to another location, there is definitely something out there. I was in the bedroom. That's where I had my computer hooked up. I was playing a video game online. And she was out in the kitchen. All of a sudden, she calls me out there, and her voice kind of sounded funny. I was like, oh, okay, you know, what's going on now? And she's standing in the middle of the kitchen. got this, like, kind of a blank look on her face. And she's got a knife in her hand.
Greg and Danielle Koch had already moved once because of paranormal phenomena. Despite starting out as skeptics, the couple now believed in the dark side as the events became life-threatening.
And she's got a knife in her hand. She's got it up, you know, kind of held like in a stabbing motion. And she's just standing there, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, Danielle, you know, I'm trying to get her to, you know, acknowledge me, to answer me, you know, to at least turn her face and look at me like she was staring off a million miles away. You know, that knife really made me nervous. And so I was like, look, if you don't put that knife down, I'm gonna tackle you down to the ground and take it from you. She finally looked like she snapped out of it. She was like, you know, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know, you tell me. I was like, you've been standing there for about 5-6 minutes now with the freaking knife in your hand. I was like, I was starting yelling at you and you weren't paying attention to me, you know, you weren't acknowledging me. And she was like, I didn't hear you at all.
All I remember is it felt like a demonic force and I was fighting with it.
I was definitely scared because if it could do it there, you know, what if it's gonna do it again where I wasn't around or if I was sleeping? So we both knew something serious was going on.
Unexpectedly, Greg and Danielle found help close to home.
You know, we were kind of hesitant to say anything to the neighbors. And then they actually brought it up that they were part of a paranormal society. And I was like, you're kidding me. I was like, you know, what are the odds that you guys are going to be living right next door to us? And then we told him what was going on, and we told him some of the experiences that we had, and he definitely felt that there was a dark presence in the house, that he was definitely worried about Danielle.
Greg invited his neighbors into his home to perform a cleansing ritual.
You know, I would see them going around, and, you know, she does spells and stuff like that to try to, you know, encourage more good spirits and, you know, good feelings and stuff like that and ward off, you know, the more negative feelings.
With the house cleansed, the neighbors gave Danielle an amulet to ward off evil spirits and taught her how to perform the ritual herself.
Danielle seemed like she needed more of the protection. It seems like they're more, you know, gravitating towards her and not me.
And that's been protecting me. So that's how I survive.
A lot of these things that we use as symbols. An artifact is not going to drive a spirit away as much as what's behind that artifact, what faith is being put into that artifact. Essentially, you yourself is the one that's exorcising the spirit out of a home.
And to be honest, it seems like it's working. There's a lot less negativity in the house. We're kind of, you know, happy with living there as long as, you know, we feel we're kind of safe. You know, we're definitely felt like, you know, we're surviving there.
Greg is a skeptic turned believer.
Before Danielle moved in, you know, there's no such thing as ghosts. But, you